What a day this has been. Jeez. Yeah. You've had quite a day? Well, whew, yeah, it's just been, here it is, 4:30 or so, and since I've been up, I've been in meetings. I've been talking to people, faculty meetings at Atlantic University, then a lunch with some people, and then talking about different things happening, and then a meeting with a group of people about a magazine and what to do in that and so on, and just got off the phone with somebody else, and it's just been, all day talking. So you've been really mixing it up with people and talking a lot, and it's affected you somehow. Yeah, I'm feeling it. I feel tired. I feel kind of drained. I also feel hyper, kind of like worked up, charged up, full of energy, but also tired. Maybe agitated would be the word. I'm not quite sure what's happening with me. Okay, so it sounds like you're saying that you have different kinds of feelings going on inside of you, or even different things happening, that there's a energy, a heightened energy in some fashion, and at the same time there's a fatigue. Yeah, I feel like a fighter or something, punch drunk. I mean, hit this way, that way, and so on, and I'm all geared up, hyper, vigilant, alert, and at the same time I'm really tired, been sort of hanging on. It's nice just to be able to sit back and say, gosh, oh, I'm glad that that's over for a while. So you'd say it's you've been like taking some blows or something, punch drunk, is having some hits, or you've had a lot of stimulations, what it sounds like you're saying to me, maybe, that a lot of input coming your way that's had all different kinds of impact on you, and you've had to deal with it and so on, and that has you tired too. There has been a lot of things that going on coming my way that does have an impact on me. In the faculty meeting, I was trying to argue for the existence of a hypnosis course, and there was a number of questions that was being raised, and I was trying to honor what they were saying so they would feel heard, and at the same time respond and so on. In the other meetings, they'd be like that too. I wasn't just a fly on the wall, but I was a player, a participant, and some of the things that were being discussed would affect me. So I was being on guard, or I had an agenda or something. There was a personal impact on myself that I needed to watch out for, I guess, at times. And also things I realized too, that I had enthusiasm, was trying to help contribute, shape events, and so I had an investment, in it. You cared about the things that were being talked about. That's what I hear you saying. It really mattered to you, and because it mattered to you, you were more involved, and so it got you going. You're obviously you're more stimulated by what was being discussed, and you were trying to shape the outcomes of these things. Yeah, I do care. Do care. Try to get into these conversations and care, and sometimes maybe I don't really just focus on that particularly, or give myself permission. You care about these things, and so you're going to go for a ride. It's going to be a dance. You're going to get involved. You're going to come away feeling tired, and that's kind of what it's like. I feel like I've been either wrestling for a good cause, or I've been, trying to build a house, and we've been trying to deal with issues that came up, and I'm really trying to get that house built, and there's a building inspector and this person coming and so on. It's certainly not easy, like just sort of going down the river and saying, oh, isn't this a beautiful trip? Oh, this is so wonderful being here. Aren't we glad we did this? But different opinions. I'm not in a power spot. I can't say, well, this is the way it's going to be. I have to persuade people. They have their opinions and so on. So there is quite a bit of work involved. So you say it's like, I guess, a wrestling match or something, you against the odds, or you somehow having to confront or deal with other energies because you're not the only one involved. You can't just boss everybody around. You have to deal with their opinion since you're not in power. So you call it a wrestling match. Things aren't just flowing your way. You have to make a case for it. You have to win your point of view, or you have to champion your cause because there are other perspectives at work here. Yeah, I like that image of championing, like it was a champion for a certain point of view as to what Atlantic University should represent, being a champion of a particular point of view about what would make for a good publication, championing, I guess, myself in terms of my own role or my job and what the kind of work that I have to do in that particular role, in the valuing of my time and other different points of view. It's interesting using that word champion because then I sort of see myself as sort of in some kind of a hero, someone who's done well, someone who's coming out ahead on top of things and so on. And I did receive some complimentary remarks and feedback and so on, like you've got a vision here, you've help us with this some more, or something like that. And so I think that it certainly I wasn't always talking and having full of anxiety in these meetings, because there were those times when I felt like, hey, I'm being effective here, I'm swaying them, they're seeing my point of view, they're smiling, they're what have you. But it certainly was definitely taking a lot of energy to turn them around 180 degrees or get them pointed in another direction. That certainly took a lot of work. It wasn't, just a casual kind of thing that was required. So something about that word champion sort of has special, touches some special levels of your feelings about the day. I take it that as tired as you are, you had a number of times where you really felt you were standing up for something that you cared about, standing up for something that mattered to you, and you were its hero. You were able to win its point of view, be eloquent, have people come around to not just say, okay, we give up, you win, but rather, hey, you're right, I see your point of view. That's really neat. Yeah, I'm behind you. I'm enthusiastic about what you're saying. So you're winning people to your point of view and feel like you were out collecting for a good cause, and people were putting their energy into your particular perspective. But because they didn't start out with your perspective, because they didn't necessarily even see it or what have you, weren't even cognizant of it, you had to put in effort. It was work required to do this, huh? So you can't just be an armchair champion. It took you rolling up your sleeves and really getting in there and being an effective communicator. Yeah, it did, and I guess I was, relatively speaking, an effective communicator. Of course, I'm dealing with forces here in terms of the politics or what have you, forces that are larger than me, but I do think I was able to advocate my position effectively and not feel that people feel I was either strong-arming or being belligerent or not going with the program or something like that, that I was making a contribution and improving over their initial plans or orientation or whatnot. Part of what I guess I'm trying to understand too is, because how I'm feeling, is this sense of tiredness and a certain agitation or a hyperness that I get into. And I guess that there's a part of me that wonders, if you're feeling like this, are you really okay? Is it okay? Has it been an okay day? There's a part of me that feels like, gosh, I've been through all of this stuff and I haven't gotten any work done. I haven't, reduced my chore list or whatnot, and I certainly don't feel like picking up any paper and doing any writing or anything. I just feel really tired. It'd be nice to go to the gym and do a workout and get in the steam room and just, and maybe this is, this is okay. This is what a day at the office is like. I don't, generally go away from here to go into an office to work, so I forget what it's like to go there and sit in meetings and so on, that this is the name of, this is what the game is like. Oh, yeah, so, whew, it's been a tiring day for you. And you can reflect upon it, and you can see that you've done some good things, but at the same time you're kind of frazzled, and being frazzled, you wonder, hey, what's hit you? Are you okay? You're trying to take stock of things. It feels different in your body. It's not just the status quo. You realize you just haven't come off of a nice meditation period. You've come off of something that's been intense. And you're starting to rest now, reflect on it a little bit, and seeing, where's this at for you? What's it mean for you? This energy level, like it sounds like, you're toying even though you can be feeling tired and frazzled and what have you. This is okay. You've done a good job. You've been in there interacting. And you look around and say, have I made marks on paper? Have I written something? Have I gotten some chores done? And you say, no, I haven't gotten any of those chores done, but I have interacted with people in an effective way that will make a difference in how certain events unfold in the future. And that's something. I have done something. And the fact that I'm worn out and so on, maybe that's okay. Maybe that's just like, after a meal, your stomach feels kind of full and tense because it's full of food. And after a round of meetings, you tend to feel kind of frazzled because you've been batting balls from all different directions. And you really are okay. This is what it's like. This is the normal way to feel after a good day of meetings. Yeah, there is a part of me that is trying to somehow make this be okay, that, hey, Henry, you're effective here. You're a good person here. This is part of your skills. You were called in, you intervened, you participated, you were part of a team, and different consciousnesses were involved. You danced with those consciousnesses. They had different styles. They weren't necessarily clear at first. You had to bring the awareness to the surface. It was work. And you did the work, and you're tired from the work, and now it's okay. And I guess because, a part of me comes home and feels kind of resentful and say, oh, why am I, being bothered with all this? I have so much work to do, and I haven't gotten any work done today, and feeling kind of headachy and all. And as I sit down, I can sort of say, no, good day, good job. I did something good. I did it well. It took energy. I'm entitled to feel tired. It took energy. It was a confusing thing. I'm entitled to feel a little spaced out. It doesn't mean that I didn't do good. It just means this was the nature of the job that I had to do. I can see, like, if I were playing in a tennis match, that after the tennis match, I'd still kind of experience those balls coming over the net. No, I'm supposed to be here, I'm supposed to be there, keeping up with the ball. And that is sort of like what it's on this, is all these balls coming at me, and part of I'm just winding down. This is a process of winding down. And it's a process of, as I wind down, I realize that, hey, good job. You did good. Relax. You're winding down. Your energy level's been high. You're coming down now. And where you've been engaged, now you're relaxing. Now you're relaxing. And yet some of the memory traces of these things are still happening, and this is the process. This is what it's like to rest and rejuvenate after a hard day at the office in doing politics, doing administration, working with people, helping people, and so on. So it sounds like then, as you sort of sort through this and have a chance to reflect about it, you're experiencing a good tired, huh? It's a good way to feel tired, and just like you're going to be at the gym and you lift your weights, and after you've done that for a while, your muscles really go, and that's kind of what you're doing now, and you can feel good about the contribution. You've made a contribution to those various concerns that you were involved with. You helped shape them and the way they were dealing with things. Yeah, I did, and I guess I feel even a little, like I could feel a little tear or crying coming on of, yeah, you did good. You are a valuable person. You did make a contribution. It matters that you were there. What is it that you're feeling? It's really brought out an emotion. It matters that you were there. That really, it does. It matters that I was there, and it just really struck me like some realization about not just my importance, but a role of maybe I think about being some kind of a loner or a misunderstood artist or not fitting in or being avant-garde or what have you. And then you see in these events that take a number of people to pull off, that my being there and talking and interacting and so on made a difference. It mattered. It seems like it really strikes a chord when you hear you say that, doesn't it? It mattered that you were there. When you think it mattered that you were there, you're really touched with an emotion. It pulls something out of you. As if you're surprised or realizing or releasing it, accepting it. It's really bringing on something for you. Yes, I don't know what it is. It's like, it really matters that I was there. It really matters that I was there. Like, I don't value myself, or I don't think about myself in those terms. They need me. Oh, they can get along fine without me. They'll do their job or what have you. But if I'm there, I make a contribution and it matters. It turns out different than if I weren't there. And I don't know. I'm sort of surprised. I'm surprised that all of a sudden that I would have this intensity of feeling. And what goes through my mind is I underestimate something about myself, or I'm looking in a different direction and I'm not seeing this part of me. I come home and I'm all thrown off because I've got to get packing for this trip. I've got to get these different chores done. And here I was spending all day in all these meetings, and what do I have to show for it? And it's kind of like I devalue the whole time spent at those meetings. And then when I said that phrase, it mattered that you were there, it's like I feel like, unless I'm writing a book or I'm working on some kind of a concrete project, I'm really not doing anything. I'm lost. I don't matter or something.
There, the word matter. And here it mattered. I was there and it mattered. And it's like I'm touching in on some kind of understand or grok or have consciousness about my worth as a person who interacts with people. I don't have to be in the manufacturing of value by writing books or creating things always, that just the interaction with people. I know when I was in counseling, somehow I didn't value what I was doing because I didn't have anything that I could look at. It wasn't tangible. And then when I used that phrase, it was sort of like something was leaking through, some perception of value was leaking through how I usually look at things. So you would normally think of yourself as valuing interacting with people and so on. You'd think of yourself as more valuing it you when you could turn out a product or write or something like that. And then you were really surprised, you were caught off guard when you found that when you said it mattered that you were there, you felt yourself really valuing your input. And it wasn't, you weren't prepared for that feeling. It really caught you off guard, and it just rushed right in. It's like it seems like it's a floodgate that broke through a dam that had been walling off your accepting or noticing that there's any value to that part of you. That's what it feels like. It's just like accepting something about myself. I don't know why it would be so hard to accept, but really feeling myself like it really did matter, and I could just feel all this pent-up emotion behind it that's there. And I can't even begin to understand it, but it does. It feels like here's all this water here that's been kept out, or this love, or this something that obviously I feel a lot about, and it's been kept out of this particular arena. That it doesn't count, it doesn't matter, it's not worth anything. And instead, I just focus that on what I build or what I can look at or hold in my hands. And when I said those words, or you said it, or whoever said it, it mattered that you were there. It just poured out. It just seems like a major breakthrough somehow in me being able to experience my worth through the context of being helpful to people, and not just in terms of creating things that people would admire me and look at it and say, oh, isn't that neat, Henry, what you made? I think that that's part of what it is. Well, that sounds like a breakthrough. Sounds like a great name to give to it. Like you really do feel like you've experienced yourself in a new way. You've not just had the thoughts, but you've actually experienced caring about yourself in some way that you haven't really perceived yourself that way. And you're seeing yourself and feeling yourself in this particular role where it really does matter to you. That seems like a really important breakthrough. You've discovered a whole new dimension of your worth, a whole new side of yourself. I mean, that not that you didn't know that it was there before, but you've discovered the worth of this side of yourself. You can feel the worth of this whole side of yourself. You're allowing yourself to feel the worth of this side of yourself. And that seems to be really important, really important. This seems like a really important, tremendously important breakthrough. Yeah, it does. I tell you, I'm tired now, and just let it sit for a while, and we can process it more later.
Well, as you might have guessed, that last session, What Happened, caught me by surprise. I wasn't aware that I had those emotions inside of me. But this, I think, shows you the value of this process of just listening to yourself in terms of a discovery process. When I sat down, all I knew was that I was kind of hyper from a day spent in meetings, and I thought I would get myself centered, sort of see where I was at, process this day. Now, the issue came up in terms of something that's long standing with me, of feeling like I've wasted my time when I've been in a lot of meetings, when I have work to do. But I was totally surprised by this phrase, it mattered that you were there, and it brought up a lot of feelings. And in some ways I was disappointed that I didn't go farther, because after we turned off the recorder, I went out in the living room, and my wife had heard all the emotional energy coming from here, and we started talking, and she was listening to me as I was expressing, and I started processing a little bit more as to what the meaning of that phrase was, the meaning of that experience, how I was re-evaluating myself. I was experiencing myself in a new way. And I saw that I could have gone farther. At the time, though, I just felt tired, overwhelmed by it all. And if you were paying attention closely, maybe you noticed that when I was playing the role of listener near the end, I was over here and I said, well, that's an important insight. When I said that, as true as that might have been to have said that, I wasn't playing the listener role there. I was stroking the speaker here. I was stroking myself a bit. And you might say, I wasn't... Had I taken a more listening stance, what would have happened was I would have continued to have pulled the me who's processing more out of me. So when I said that was an important insight, it was like by patting me down, I was also helping to close off the process. I respected my desire to quit, and so when I said that was an important insight, and I didn't do this consciously, but afterwards I reflected and thought, oh yeah, you know, I didn't model listening for them at that moment. I modeled more. I was just responding to my feelings. And I think one of the values of doing this training, both when you do it with yourself and then later when you work with somebody else, is not so much that I'm teaching you a rule for this is the way you need to be, but like in meditation, once you start coming to develop the skill to be able to do it, then when you find yourself not doing it, you notice it, you're more sensitive to it, and it brings it into your awareness, and you can ask, now, why am I doing this? You know, why am I saying that? And I reflected on it later, and I realized when I said, oh, that's an important insight, I was like saying, you've done good work here, it's okay to stop, and so on, and I was helping to bring things to a close. Now, I didn't do that consciously or intentionally. It was just sort of a reflex. And then when I thought back about it, I had to sort of analyze it for a little bit, because I think that in watching people learn the process of reflective listening, either with themselves or with other people, there are many times when they slide off of that track and do something else, and it doesn't even occur to them. They hardly even realize that they're doing it. And then also, they don't necessarily notice the effect that it's having on the other person. This is something that I'd like you to become more sensitive about, where you can see that as you watch the speaker, your client, respond their next statement as a result of your reflective listening, that the quality of their response will tell you something about the kind of listening you were giving them just a moment before. Whether they have to find their place again, or whether they have to correct you, or whatever. Like one time when I was listening to myself and I said, well, it sounds like you've been doing like thus and so, and then I say, oh no, it's not like that, it was more like thus and such. If I say, oh, I'm sorry to have gotten it wrong, I'm pulling the attention off their process and focusing on me and the fact that I listened wrong for a second, and it pulls their attention away. Whereas when they say, no, it wasn't kind of like this, it was more like that, and you say, oh, okay, it's more kind of like that, right, and da-da-da-da. I'm just seamlessly going along with the person who's talking, and their attention never comes over to me as the listener. There's a lot of, I could not list all the different ways in which the speaker's response will vary and show you some clues about how you've been listening. But as you get more into this, you will start seeing, you'll notice how the person either continues to dig and explore and find new meaning, or shifts the subject, or their energy shifts, or what have you, because of how you've responded to them. Okay. So, April, tell me, having done this dialogue